Hello there. So in previous videos, we've defined the product, established the design direction, and analyzed successful banking apps. Now it's time to provide everything in a shared context that will guide the design decisions and also Claude's output. So let's go. Okay, welcome back to the file. So far we built up a lot of context throughout this course. We have started with the project brief, as you can see on screen. We have defined the design direction, which I've placed here. We've analysed banking apps to understand their patterns, which we did in the last video. So we looked at the home screen, transactions and transfer, and then we got an output here as well. So the next step is bringing it all together in one place so we can reference it throughout the project. This isn't about replacing our design thinking, it's about giving Claude the same context we've built over the last few videos. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a Nova project context page, and that's going to give Claude more context on how I want it to build. So we've already got the Aurora design system, but this page is going to capture things specific to our Nova project. Okay, so zooming in, this is the project overview as we've looked at before. So this is going to give Claude context about the product itself, and rather than explaining what the project is every single time, it's the source of truth that Claude can always go back to. So project overview, that's the first part. And then moving on, we've added our product principles that we've established in previous videos. So clarity over complexity, use patterns people already know, speed over flexibility, and minimal but not empty. Okay, and then based on our last video, we've added the competitive analysis, and these are reoccurring patterns that we've observed across those multiple apps and how we're going to apply them to our project. Okay, so these were the key findings from our last video. What I've done is I've broken them down into each of the 10 different points. I've put the observation and then I've given design intent, and that's something I want Claude to be aware of. So let's quickly go through these. So balance is always the first thing you see. The observation across all apps, the account balance is the most dominant element at the top of the screen. It's given the greatest visual emphasis with nothing competing for attention around it. And design intent make the current balance the primary visual anchor of the Nova home screen. And that's getting really specific for when Claude scans this frame. So number 2, the eye follows predictable reading order. Users naturally scan the interface from balance to recent activity and finally to supporting actions. The hierarchy guides the eyes through the screen in a predictable order. So the design intent for our project, structure screen so the visual hierarchy naturally leads users through the most important information first. Okay, number 3, primary and secondary actions are clearly separated. So observation, high frequency actions receive the strongest visual emphasis while secondary actions are intentionally reduced in prominence. So the design intent here, prioritize 1 or 2 primary actions per screen and visually de-emphasize secondary actions. Okay, number 4, containers define structure. So the observation content is grouped using card containers against contrasting backgrounds, creating clear separation without relying on borders or dividers. So the design intent, use cards as the primary content container and rely on spacing and background contrast to separate sections. Okay, number 5, consistent spacing creates trust. So observation, every app follows a consistent spacing rhythm across layouts, cards and lists, giving the interface a polished and trustworthy feel. Design intent, apply a consistent spacing system throughout Nova to create rhythm, balance and visual consistency. Okay, number 6, transaction lists follow familiar patterns. So observation, transaction lists consistently use the same structure, grouping transactions by date with a predictable row layout for merchants, supporting information and amount. So the design intent here, use a consistent transaction row pattern that's easy to scan and remains familiar across the entire app. Alright, number 7, tabs filter content, not navigation. So the observation, tabs are used to switch between related content within a screen rather than acting as a primary navigation mechanism. So design intent, use tabs only for filtering or changing context within a screen, keeping primary navigation separate. Alright, number 8, search is prioritized where users need it. Okay, observation, search is promptly placed on screens where users are expected to browse large amounts of information or locate specific content. So design intent, place search in a clear and accessible location on content-heavy screens where it adds value. Alright, number 9, frequent actions are prioritized. So the observation, recently used pays and common actions appear before complete lists, reducing the effort required for everyday tasks. Design intent, prioritize the most common actions before presenting complete lists or secondary options. Okay, number 10, icons are functional and consistent. Observation: icons are used consistently throughout the interface and only where they improve recognition or understanding, never as decoration. Okay, design intent: use a single icon style consistently and only include icons where they add meaningful clarity to the interface. Okay, so we now have a single reference point that combines the brief, the principles, and the research all in one place. Okay, let's jump on over to Claude and go from there. Alright, so we're back in Claude and we're back to our project thread. I'm just going to paste in something I've created. So I want to ask Claude to review the Nova project context page together with the Aurora design system. I want it to summarize its understanding of the product, the intended user experience, and the design approach you should follow when generating interfaces for Nova. And then I've got links out to the project overview, the product principles, and the competitive analysis. So let me send that to Claude and see what we get back. Okay, welcome back. So here is the response from Claude. So all three frames are red. It's pulling the context from the Aurora token data to complete the picture. Okay, so the product, what Nova is, who it's for, and then we've got viewing the balance, reviewing the transactions, and moving money. So it's understanding what the product and the project is about. It's got our product principles here and information about each of those, so that's good. It's got the competitive analysis rules that are applied to Nova, and that's pulled that information here, and those are the 10 points right here on screen. Okay, moving a bit further down, the design approach, it's referencing some tokens here. It's also adding adaptations needed, so it's listed a few things here as well. Okay, so down to scope, what we're going to build: the home screen, transactions list, transfer money flow, settings screen, and interactive prototype. And then what we're not going to build: investing or trading, crypto functionality, budgeting dashboards, or complex analytics or reporting. Okay, let's have a look at the understanding that Claude has. So the product in one sentence: Nova is a ruthlessly focused mobile banking app. Everything in it exists to serve three moments: checking a balance, scanning transactions, or sending money. The user in one sentence: someone who opens their banking app on the bus, wants the answer in 2 seconds and leaves immediately, not someone browsing features. So what this means for how I should generate the UI. So the competitive analysis is the sharpest signal here. 10 research-backed rules directly translate to design decisions. The big ones: balance gets the most visual weight on every home screen and nothing competes with it. Containers, cards on surface subtle backgrounds, do the structural work so borders don't have to. Transaction rows follow a strict hierarchy. And then it says here: merchant bold 15 pixels supporting info regular 12 pixels muted. And action prioritization means recent pays and common flows surface before full lists. Aurora slots in cleanly here at the token level, so it's referencing some of our tokens, our spacing units. It's saying 3 patterns don't exist in Aurora and need to be built fresh: the balance hero block, the quick action strip, and the bottom nav bar. Everything else adapts rather than replaces. Touch targets need to be 44 by 44 pixels minimum throughout, and row heights run taller than the Aurora's web defaults. Okay, one constraint worth flagging: whenever generating screens, minimal but not empty is the hardest principle to hold. The instinct when simplifying is to remove too much and leave screens feeling incomplete. The bar is every screen should feel useful and finished, not sparse. So I think that's a good overview. It shows me that Claude is understanding the project. So I don't think at this stage it's missing anything. So I don't think there's anything I can adjust right at this moment. But if we need to refine it further over time, we can. So I want to test this context that Claude now has, and I want to test it further. So let me just paste in another prompt. Using the Nova project context and Aurora design system as your reference, generate a concept for the Nova home screen. Now I want to be more specific and give it a link of where to put the design. So let's go back into Figma, and yeah, let me just drop a frame. Let's just drop a testing frame down here just for a minute. Do you know what? Let's move that out here. Let me just create a new page. Let me create that as testing, paste it in here. Okay, great. So selected the frame, click on share, copy the link. Let's go back into Claude, add the designs here. Okay, so that gives it a target to work to. I don't particularly want Claude generating a design and then just dumping it anywhere. So let's click and send that to Claude and see what we get. So at this stage, I'm not trying to create a perfect screen. I'm just trying to validate that Claude can combine all of this context with the design system and produce a directionally correct first pass. Okay, welcome back. So Claude has gone away and it's now just provided me this response. So it looks like it's found the testing page and pulled the relevant tokens from the Aurora design system. Okay, let's have a look. So it's made a home screen, it's added a status bar, heading, balance, quick actions, recent transactions, and bottom nav. Okay, so it's saying the home screen is built. Okay, let's have a look at the structure. So it's saying it's got a status bar, it's got a header, a balance hero card, quick action strip, insight strip, recent transactions, and bottom nav. Let's have a quick look in Figma at what it's created. Okay, so here we go. I think it was using the iPhone 14 Pro as a screen size, so that's good. It's got like an iOS status bar at the top, so that's time and battery. The header, we've got a welcome message there, so that's good. So that's got our current card and balance there. And we move down, there's a quick action strip here for send, receive, top up and more. Got an insight strip here on monthly spending, recent transactions here, which looks nice and clear. And then we go down into the bottom nav, which doesn't have any icons, but it's a first pass, so that's not too bad. So yeah, really interesting. Based on what we've done so far, that's the output that Claude has done. I don't think it's a million miles away from what we want, but there's definitely opportunity for refinement. So yeah, just to summarize what we've done, we've got complementary sources of context here under the project context page, so that's going to help Claude. So Aurora defines the reusable design system, which we already have. Again, on this context page, it captures the product specific intent here, which we've got design intent on each of those points there. So what's really good from this point onwards, Claude isn't starting from a blank canvas, it's designing with an understanding of the product, the principles and the patterns that we've identified. Alright, so I think that's it for this video. In the next video, we'll move from setting the project-wide context to designing individual UI components. We'll look at structuring prompts so Claude can generate consistent system-aware components, and that will use both the Nova context and the Aurora design system. So yeah, that's what we'll do in the next video. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for... Hang on. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for getting to the end. So like, subscribe, all the things, and I will see you in the next video. So, progress, or... I don't know if this is progress, but... I don't know if this is a bin or like a shredding bin, but it has been repurposed for... Love it. So we are stocked up and ready to go. It is still very hot. However, we are not letting people know where they are. Because I'm a child and I don't want to share these. Anyway, onwards and upwards for today. It is very, 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 I'm not going to say very more, but very, very hot. List of things to do: get the chocolate in a safe place. Get an icy drink. Not coffee, icy drink today. One last thing, if you haven't already, click on the link below, designwithtwitch.com, designwithmitch.com. You can join the community, get access to articles, courses, resources, all of those things, and I'll be in there chatting to you if you have any questions to ask. So it's free to join, click below, it'd be great to see you inside. So yeah, that's it for today. Have a great rest of your day. See you in the next one.